The 2-1 buy down. What is it? I'm sure you have heard of it. If you're in the market right now and looking to purchase a home, there's been several real estate agents, loan officers, all kinds of people talking about this 2-1 buy down. So what is it really and how does it work? Well, this is one of my favorite topics because I'm old school. I've been using the 2-1 buy down before it was cool. I actually used the 2-1 buy down when I purchased my very own property. I've talked about this in videos in the past, but you're temporarily buying the interest rate down by 2 percentage points for the first year, then 1 percentage point for the next year, and then years 3 through 30 is the fixed rate that we qualify you on. Let's say average interest rates right now are right around 6.5%, sometimes higher, sometimes lower, but the average is sitting right around 6.5% for a 30-year fixed mortgage. So if we did the 2-1 buy down, what that means is for year one, you're actually paying 4.5% instead of 6.5%. Then year two, you pay 5.5%. Then years 3 through 30, it goes to the 6.5%. They're a fantastic alternative when we're in a quote-unquote higher rate environment. I still laugh when I say that out loud because if you look at the long history of interest rates, 6.5 is really not that high. Now, I do agree that with our current home prices, it's a little bit high. And that's where the 2-1 buy down really works to your advantage because again, you get an opportunity to get a lower interest rate for the first 2 years. And then if interest rates come down, even within that time frame or before year 3, you can refinance at any time to take the lower rate. It's actually exactly what I did when I bought my first house. Interest rate, I want to say was exactly a 6.5 when I bought. And so I used this program to kind of ease into my mortgage. And for me, it made sense because I knew I was also moving up in the company I was working with, so I knew I was going to be making more money. So I knew year one was going to be pretty tough, so I wanted that one to be as low as possible. And then years 2 and years 3 is actually when I ended up refinancing and got my payment lower than what it was on year 1. So again, I'm living proof that this is a phenomenal example when it comes to how to structure your mortgage payment. I want to take things a step even further because we are in a really, really cool time right now. Because interest rates are quote unquote higher, there are less buyers. There are less people purchasing homes. Number one, because of affordability, and two, just fear of what's going to happen. Again, as I've shown several videos in the past, all signs point to real estate continuously staying strong, even through a recession. Here's where we can get a little creative and find other people to pay for your 2-1 buy down. So here's one of the best ways to do it. Right now, we're in a market where, again, homes are sitting a little bit longer. Maybe you know you need to buy a house, but you're one of those people that's waiting for the new year or waiting for interest rates to get low. Don't be one of those people. If you're smart, here's what you can do. You can get in now, ideally before the end of the year, because what you can do is you can negotiate a lot more. This is the time of year when people that are selling their homes, they're selling them mostly because they have to. And so as a buyer, you can take advantage of this because that means you will be able to negotiate things like seller concessions, which basically just means the seller is willing to pay for a portion of your closing costs. Now, what's important to remember with these 2-1 buy downs is they do come with an additional fee. It's roughly about 2% of the loan amount. As you can see from this example, you can see year 1 is significantly cheaper than years 2, and then year 3 is what you can plan it to be on. But as you can also see, there is a fee associated with this as well, right around 2%. So again, if you really want to get smart, we can negotiate the seller to pay that fee as a seller concession. That way they're basically buying your interest rate down for you. And here's where it gets really cool. Let's say that you're a year and a half into the home and all of a sudden interest rates do drop to, let's say 4.5. I don't think that's going to happen. But let's just say, for the sake of this, that interest rates drop to 4.5. You're not even into year 3. You can still refinance. And guess what? The fee that we charged for that 2-1 buy down, a portion of it is refundable. The long story short of it is you're kind of prepaying your interest, but at a significant discount. Typically right around 40% of the total interest cost if you were just to have that 30-year fixed payment at the rate. By prepaying it, so to say, with this 2-1 buy down fee, you're basically saving 40% of the interest that you would have paid in those first 2 years. But again, if we get the seller to pay for this, then it's a no-brainer. They're now paying for you to have a significantly cheaper mortgage payment for years 1 and 2. And if you do refinance at a year and a half, that half a year left or whatever part of the fee that we didn't use, you get that back to you in the form of a principal reduction when you refinance. So now the seller's not only paying for your interest rate reduction for the first 2 years, now they're paying for your refinance in the future. So again, this is a no-brainer, and the time is now because not a lot of people are doing this. It blows my mind. I have this conversation with every single one of my buyers that's on the house hunt right now because it is such a cool thing that we can do. Given the option, if they were to drop sales price by $12,000 or give you $12,000 in seller concessions, we can use that $12,000 to buy the interest rate down via these 2-1 buy downs, and that's gonna go a lot further than a price reduction on $12,000. We're talking a significant difference. Here's how big of a difference. But again, even if you can't get the seller to pay for it, I still think the 2-1 buy down is a smart idea depending on your situation. So again, if you know you're gonna be in this house for the next 4 or 5 years, then absolutely, why not take advantage of some savings for those first couple of years? There is an additional fee for this, but basically it's like prepaying up front, you get that discount in your total interest, and it keeps those monthly payments really, really low. If you're somebody that's very mindful of where you're keeping your monthly payments, this is a perfect opportunity for you to get into a house and still get an awesome interest rate and payment for the first couple of years. So there you have it, guys. The 2-1 buy down. Again, I personally think it is a phenomenal option if you're a home buyer right now. Keep in mind, these are not available if you're purchasing an investment property. This is only for primary homes. So be sure to keep that in mind. But again, if you are looking to buy, and maybe you were one of those people that got bought out or put a bunch of bids in last year when rates were in the 3s and 4s and just couldn't win the house, I'm telling you, right now is a better opportunity. Home price is going to be a little bit less than it was last year. Interest rate is higher, but again, at 6.5%, if we're buying it down 2% for year 1, that's 4.5. That's pretty damn close to where rates were when we were super, super low. Again, depending on your situation with the credit, but I still think this is just one of the best loans out there. I'm a huge advocate for it. So if you'd like to take a look at your scenario, or just if you're curious what home price equals what payment, let me know. I can do that too. But for now, let's make a cocktail. It's time to drink. So this is called the Cranberry Citrus Paloma. I'm super excited about this one because I'm a huge fan of Palomas. I've made them in the past. I think I made a smoked one. They call it the poor man's margarita. It's tequila, lime juice, and a little bit of grapefruit soda. The OGs use the real squirt. So we're gonna do that, but we're gonna put a little bit of a twist on it by adding some orange juice. And then I made this cranberry puree. I took some fresh cranberries, some water, pureed this up into this beautiful cranberry puree. And then the tequila that we're using is infused with blood orange. So this is gonna be a blood orange tequila. Or in winter here in Arizona, we're still drinking margaritas, we're still drinking Palomas, even though it's colder outside. So by adding a little bit of that cranberry, make it a little bit festive. So it should be fun. So let's get right into it. Whoa, let's drop that. First up, the tequila, the most important ingredient, right? We're gonna get 2 ounces of that tequila. And then we're gonna take this cranberry puree that I made. Isn't this fun, this little like shaker that I have? And we're going to add a 1/2 ounce of that. This stuff is a little chunky, but don't worry, we're gonna mix it up. It's gonna be delicious. About a 1/2 ounce of that cranberry puree, followed by a 1/2 ounce of OJ. I recommend getting something that doesn't have pulp in it. Again, the cranberry juice is already a little bit thick, so the pulp in the OJ would just make that much worse. If you don't feel like, pureeing your own fresh cranberries, cranberry juice would be just as fine as well. Just make sure you get 100% cranberry juice and not one of those cranberry cocktails. And then of course our lime juice. You know me, I gotta use fresh limes. Full ounce of lime juice. Let's probably take both halves of these. There we go. Now we got our ounce of lime juice. And then before we shake this up, I made this very cool cranberry sugar salt that's gonna rim the glass. Just take a handful of salt, some sugar, like a 1/4 cup of each, throw in a few cranberries, like 5 or 6, and then just mix it up in the food processor or a blender. It's gonna resemble kind of like a wet sand texture. It reminds me of this crap my kids play with, so. To be fair, that doesn't look the greatest, but we're gonna make it work. Now we're gonna mix this bad boy up. So I need some ice. Now we're gonna shake this up. Ooh, that's pretty. And just pour over ice. cranberry juice is getting a little. And then for fun, we will throw some cranberries on top and a lime slice. I think just a cool whole lime in there. And you know what? I totally forgot to top this thing with the squirt soda. That's like half the whole roll of a Paloma. So I already got my garnish and lime in there, but we're just gonna pour it right over the top. I'm sure it's gonna make it better somehow. Oh, there you go. And there we have it, guys. The cranberry citrus Paloma. Hopefully this video was informative. Again, if you would like more information on 2-1 Buydown, or if you just want to sit and have a drink and discuss your options, give me a call. I'm always happy to help. Cheers.